between form and a putative cause is unintelligible, Nagarjuna argues, following closely the reasoning in Chapter 1. If form exists, the cause has ceased to exist. If form does not exist, the cause cannot have existed. This might seem at first glance to be a wholesale rejection of the possibility of dependency of effects on causal conditions. But if we recall the moral of Chapter 1 and keep the dialectical context of the current chapter firmly in mind, we will see that this is not so. The paradox of causal contact arises, as Sextus also notes, only if we suppose that the causes we appeal to in explanation must have some special force by means of which they bring about their effects. That, as we have seen, is the view of the causal link as inherently existent and, hence, of causes as inherently existent. The opponent Nagarjuna is attacking in this chapter is one who thinks that form/matter is inherently existent, but who is granted that all individual phenomena, all particular forms, such as human bodies, tables, and chairs, are dependently arisen. So the opponent agrees that all phenomena must be explicable. But the opponent wants to reify form, and that is to treat it as a phenomenon, albeit an inherently existent one. Therefore, it must, for the opponent, have an explanation of its existence, and since its existence is inherent existence, it must be an explanation in terms of inherently existent causation. So all that Nagarjuna has to do is to remind the opponent of the incoherence of that notion in order to undermine the view that form as such is inherently existent. The coherence of conventional dependent origination is not at issue. 5. Form itself without a cause is not possible or tenable. Therefore, think about form, but do not construct theories about form. The moral of these arguments, Nagarjuna concludes, is that we cannot think of form as such as an entity at all. Individual forms are entities, dependently arisen ones, hence, empty of inherent existence. But form itself is an abstraction, neither caused nor uncaused, but dependent upon the existence of material things with form. Moreover, were one to argue that form itself exists as an entity, one would be faced with an uncomfortable dilemma: its existence would be caused or uncaused. The latter alternative patently begs the question regarding the explanation of the existence of the material world. But the former issues in a further dilemma: the cause would either itself be material or immaterial. On the first horn, we have an infinite regress; on the second, the inexplicable causation of the material by the immaterial. So, he advises, think carefully about what form is and about the nature of particular material objects. But do not construct theories that purport to describe the essence of material form. For there is no such thing. It is simply a characteristic of individual material objects and, hence, something that depends upon their existence, with no essence of its own. 6. The assertion that the effect and cause are similar is not acceptable. The assertion that they are not similar is also not acceptable. We cannot say that non-material things give rise to the existence of matter, for that would be an inexplicable miracle. Nor can we say that matter gives rise to matter, since that would beg the question. But there is no other possibility. So despite the reificationist's intuition that though individual material objects may be empty, the matter they are made of is non-empty, we see that we cannot even clearly conceive of the nature of matter as such independently of material objects. Matter, too, is hence dependent and empty of inherent existence. Nagarjuna immediately generalizes this to the other aggregates. 7. Of feelings, discriminations and dispositions and consciousness and all such things should be thought of in the same way as material form. 8. When an analysis is made through emptiness, if someone were to offer a reply, that reply will fail, since it will presuppose exactly what is to be proven. 9. When an explanation is made through emptiness, whoever would find fault with it will find no fault, since the criticism will presuppose exactly what is to be proven. In these last two oft-quoted verses, Nagarjuna claims that once a demonstration of the emptiness of a phenomenon or class of phenomena has been produced, any reply will inevitably beg the question: And this is meant to have been demonstrated by the argument in this chapter in the following way. Once we have shown something to be empty of inherent existence, we have, ipso facto, shown it to be dependently arisen and merely conventionally real. Anything an opponent would want to demonstrate to be inherently existent would fall prey to the causal paradoxes developed in this chapter. That is, he must either assume that the thing is completely independent and causeless, which is, upon analysis, exactly equivalent to the conclusion he is out to prove, or that it arises from another inherently existent phenomenon. But then, in order to demonstrate that fact, he must demonstrate the inherent existence of that second phenomenon, as well as the inherent dependence relation between them, a kind of relation we have seen to be internally contradictory. And this is true no matter to which ontological category the putatively inherently existent phenomenon belongs. That this is so should not be surprising, for the central thrust of Nagarjuna's arguments thus far, and throughout Mulammadhyamakakarika, is not that inherent existence is a property some things might have had but by global accident is uninstantiated, or that emptiness just happens to characterize all phenomena. Rather, he is arguing that inherent existence is simply an incoherent notion and that emptiness is the only possible analysis of existence. It would follow straightforwardly that arguments for inherent existence will be question-begging.